Okay, this is about the Nazis of the Second World War. Now, we know, as I've explained, that the Nazis are attacking Hitler. So Hitler is the head of Holland, and then the head of Germany, and then the head of the D group. D is De Jong of Holland, and he's the head of America and Russia and more. Okay, so now the Nazis of the Second World War were actually led in a secret group by South Americans. Okay, so the South Americans are the real Nazis. Right, they created the Holocaust and then blamed Hitler, the white people. South Americans did the Holocaust and then blamed the white people, Holland, Dutch, Hitler. The South Americans are Nazis and they're running our hospitals too after the Second World War. And so you'll see the South Americans are running the hospitals and psychiatry with their voodoo. Our Holocaust was a voodoo event. A horrendous attack it was. Actually, it's voodoo from homosexuals in South America. In the psychiatry hospitals across the world, they're serving out, the South American psychiatry is serving out Risperdal. It's got doll, voodoo doll, and kataya pin, voodoo pin, from South Americans that did the Holocaust and then blamed Hitler. Had nothing to do with it, the Holocaust. He didn't know about the Holocaust until much later. He had already left. He decided that it had all gone bonkers, and he went back to Holland actually. He didn't actually kill himself. He went back to Holland and had kids. Alright, so now the Second World War was actually the main perpetrator in there is South America, and they're doing all sorts of things in guises so you wouldn't know it's South Americans. Alright, so then they're led by blacks, and they killed all those Jewish people in Germany and then blamed the white Germans. Had nothing to do with white Germany. It was all South American. Currently, the South Americans then stole the banks of the head of Germany, Hitler. Hitler was the head of Holland, owned all the banks. All the German people were extremely rich. But then the South Americans, led by blacks, came and did the Holocaust, then blamed Hitler and the German people and stole his banks. So now the banks are owned by South America right now, and they're extremely rich. So the South American Nazis, they're now running our councils in Britain and America, and they're stealing hundreds of kids a week off their mum because she's British, and the councils are Germans. Nazis, psychiatry, South America, blacks. And they're killing the white people in voodoo attacks. They run child protection services and withdrawing hundreds of kids every week because voodoo doesn't like the Western people. Culture, modernization, efficiency, our warm and cultured ways. Voodoo hates that. They run child protection services. They're from South America. They're doing violent, serious crime right here in England. They did the Southport murders, the Nottingham murders. They did the Manchester bombings and 7/7 bombings and blamed Pakistanis for it, when all along it's South Americans, Nazis, that have stolen the banks of Hitler. And the Nazis are attacking Hitler. Hitler and his SS, the women. South Americans are a gay incestuous group, and they're attacking women, stolen the banks of Hitler after the Second World War. Alright, so the South Americans that did the Holocaust, they're running our councils and child protection services. They own McDonald's and the train services. They've done the Holocaust and they're doing one here. They don't like Britain at all. They are German witches. They are Nazis. Are from South America, led by blacks that hate the white people, blaming them for slavery, when slavery actually comes from African voodooism. African voodooism is kidnap, abandon, torture, slavery, death, and cannibalism is next. And this is voodoo. It's nothing to do with missionaries that have given free benefits indiscriminately to blacks for a very long time, paying for their housing and welfare and medical, depending where you live. But it's like that in Europe and in America. All right, so the South Americans did the Second World War and attacked all the countries in Europe. They've now, South Americans have now, the Nazis have now filled France with Africans. Those Africans are actually Nazis. The actual Nazis are a ratio. Okay, so that's one Nazi to 50 Africans, and they're the far right. Okay, that one Nazi, the white guy, he's a homosexual. And those Africans are his boyfriend. Right, so now the South Americans, they're Nazis, and they're running our schools. They're stealing the car companies off Hitler after blaming him for the Holocaust. So he had nothing to do with. Hitler likes Jewish people. Hitler's had a son, several kids, and his main son is my dad. And my dad married an beautiful Israeli woman called Yael, and she was my mum. So that's Hitler for you, right? He used to send money to Africa every month. He was not that rich at all, very middle class, not very tough living standards in an expensive town called London. So he done quite well and gave a lot of his wealth to Africans. He sent that to them every month. I used to see him do that, and I needed money. He would spare that and give the money to Africa. We're Hitler. Okay, now the Nazis, the gay homosexuals lie non-stop. They're all homosexual lies. Okay, he's a no girls allowed kind of homosexual. Not all gays are like that, but these guys are. They're the Fox Hunting Society in Britain. That's them. No girls allowed, homosexuals. And that's African hunting right there. Their boyfriend is Africa. The Fox Hunting Society is actually the far right. And they're now working very closely with South America, Nazis. They're running our hospitals. They're importing crack and heroin into the UK and America. It's actually done by South American Colombians. And they are very anti-Semitic, anti-anything. They're a bloodletting society, a suiciding group. They don't like anything except little boys. They're homosexual, incestuous. So the South Americans did the Second World War and then blamed Hitler. And then the Holocaust and blamed Hitler. Because South Americans are led by blacks, blaming white people for every and anything. Even slavery that comes from Africa is part of African voodooism. It's nothing to do with church missionaries that gave the benefits, free housing, yet we still get attacked.